No food, no water, no goodbye. Just a rough rope, a quiet forest, and the sound of an engine driving away. He didn't fight. He didn't cry. He simply waited. This isn't just the story of one German shepherd puppy. It's the story of loyalty that never asked for anything in return. It's the story of what happens when trust is broken, and how love can still heal even the deepest wounds. What kind of heart keeps waiting for the very people who left you behind? A dog's heart. This German shepherd puppy was tied to a tree, left alone without food, water, or shelter. Days passed. No one came back, but he stayed. His small, weak body trembled in the cold nights, but his eyes kept looking down that path, hoping they'd return. He didn't understand abandonment, only trust, only loyalty. Dogs, especially German shepherds, are known for their fierce devotion. To them, their humans are everything, their world. Even if they're abused or neglected, they keep giving love. They keep waiting, keep believing. That's what makes their loyalty so heartbreaking, because it's so unconditional. This puppy's wait wasn't just physical, it was emotional. It was the purest kind of loyalty that humans rarely match. Even in the face of cruelty, even with a bleeding neck and an empty stomach, he didn't break the bond he believed still existed. That kind of loyalty teaches us something we often forget, that real love isn't about being perfect, it's about being constant. Dogs don't need fancy homes or expensive toys. They just want to be near the ones they love. And when that love is ripped away, they don't turn bitter. They wait, they forgive, they hope. This isn't just touching, it's a reminder that dogs give us something priceless, and we owe them something in return: protection, respect, and a love that never walks away. What kind of heart keeps waiting for the very people who left you behind? A dog's heart. This German shepherd puppy was tied to a tree, left alone without food, water, or shelter. Days passed. No one came back, but he stayed. His small, weak body trembled in the cold nights, but his eyes kept looking down that path, hoping they'd return. He didn't understand abandonment, only trust, only loyalty. Dogs, especially German shepherds, are known for their fierce devotion. To them, their humans are everything, their world. Even if they're abused or neglected, they keep giving love. They keep waiting, keep believing. That's what makes their loyalty so heartbreaking, because it's so unconditional. This puppy's wait wasn't just physical, it was emotional. It was the purest kind of loyalty that humans rarely match. Even in the face of cruelty, even with a bleeding neck and an empty stomach, he didn't break the bond he believed still existed. That kind of loyalty teaches us something we often forget, that real love isn't about being perfect, it's about being constant. Dogs don't need fancy homes or expensive toys. They just want to be near the ones they love. And when that love is ripped away, they don't turn bitter. They wait, they forgive, they hope. This isn't just touching, it's a reminder. A reminder that dogs give us something priceless, and we owe them something in return: protection, respect, and a love that never walks away. For this German shepherd puppy, rescue didn't come from someone powerful or famous. It came from a stranger, a passerby, a person who could have walked on, ignored the faint shadow tied beneath the tree. But they didn't. They stopped. And that changed everything. When the woman first saw the puppy, she didn't know his story. She didn't know how long he had waited, how hungry he was, or how many nights he had shivered alone in fear. But she saw enough: the way his body hung low to the ground, the way his ribs pushed against his skin, the way his eyes, too tired to blink, still looked up with a hint of trust. That was enough for her to act. And that's the point. Rescue doesn't require perfection, only compassion. She didn't need to be a vet or a shelter worker or an animal expert. She just needed to care enough. She carried scissors, a blanket, and a bowl of water in her car. And she carried something more powerful than all of that: empathy. She walked up slowly. She spoke gently. And when she cut that rope, she didn't just free his body, she gave his spirit a second chance. A puppy once discarded like trash was now being held like something that mattered. Rescue isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, a soft whisper instead of a shout, a steady hand instead of a rush, but it can be life-changing, even life-saving. This moment of rescue reminds us that compassion is a choice, one that each of us can make. There are thousands of animals like him, tied, trapped, thrown away, who are waiting for someone to stop, to care, to see them, And when we rescue an animal, we don't just give them a second chance. They give us something back. They remind us what it means to feel deeply, to forgive fully, and to love without limits. In the end, this puppy's life didn't turn around because someone had a plan. It changed because someone had a heart. And that's something every one of us is capable of. Rescue is not just about saving an animal's life. It's about choosing to see their pain when others have ignored it. It's about standing between suffering and survival and deciding to act when it would be easier to walk away. This German shepherd puppy had no more strength left to beg for help. He wasn't barking anymore. He wasn't trying to run. The rope had left a wound so deep around his neck that every breath was painful. His body was wasting away. But when the woman approached, he lifted his head, just barely, and looked at her. And that look said everything. I'm still here. Please don't leave. She didn't know his name. She didn't know his story. But she didn't need to. She knew that no creature should ever look that defeated. No animal should be left behind to fade into the dirt, unseen and unloved. So she did what so many people forget to do. She stopped. She knelt down in the mud. Her knees soaked. Her hands shook. The smell of infection and decay was thick. She was crying before she even cut the rope. But she kept moving, because sometimes compassion doesn't wait for comfort. It moves through pain, through fear, through heartbreak. She spoke softly as she worked. I got you, baby. You're okay now. He flinched at first, not knowing what her voice meant. But when the rope fell from his neck, he let out a breath, a shaky, shuddering breath, as if he hadn't exhaled in days. That was the moment rescue began. It wasn't just about removing a rope. It was about rebuilding trust. About feeding not only his body, but also his soul. The next few days were filled with small victories. His first meal, eaten slowly but gratefully. His first sleep, uninterrupted by fear. His first tail wag. His first attempt to follow her. Rescue is not always dramatic. It's not always about sirens or surgeries. Sometimes, it's simply about seeing value in a life that others discarded. It's about choosing to love something broken. It's about believing that no life is too far gone to be saved. What this woman did was powerful, but not rare. Every single one of us is capable in that same compassion. Every neighborhood, every town has animals like him. Chained, starved, forgotten. And they don't need perfection. They don't need heroes. They need humans with hearts strong enough to care, to get involved, and to say, you matter. This puppy didn't survive because of a miracle. He survived because someone cared. Someone saw what others refused to see, and that act of compassion didn't just change his life. It changed hers too, because when you save an animal, you don't just rescue them. You rescue a part of yourself, the part that knows love, the part that refuses to be numb to suffering, the part that says, as long as I'm here, no one gets left behind. People often think that leaving a dog, in nature, is somehow more merciful than turning them over to a shelter. They tell themselves things like, someone else might find him, or at least he's free now, or even worse, it's better than a cage. But that's not mercy, it's avoidance. And for the animal left behind, it's not freedom. It's a slow, terrifying death sentence. This German shepherd puppy was left tied to a tree. That single decision, made in a few careless seconds, nearly ended his life. They didn't even unto him. They didn't leave food. They didn't leave water. Just walked away. And yet, he waited. That's what dogs do. They trust. Even when it kills them. Abandonment doesn't look like the end to a dog. It looks like confusion. It looks like betrayal. It looks like the last face they loved vanishing into the distance. And it feels like a wound that never truly heals. He wasn't just hungry. He was heartbroken. What people forget is that dogs don't stop loving us just because we stop loving them. That loyalty doesn't fade. This puppy didn't try to escape. He stayed where he was left, believing, hoping that his person would return. Even when his body grew weak. Even when the nights turned cold. Even when he could barely lift his head, his eyes still searched the path. That is not mercy. That is cruelty disguised as ignorance. Surrendering a pet to a shelter may feel shameful, but it is never worse than leaving them alone to die. Shelters, no matter how crowded or underfunded, are filled with people who care. People who will feed them, comfort them, clean them, and try to find them homes. But the forest, the roadside, the alley behind a store, Those are places where animals vanish, suffering silently until they're gone forever. Abandonment strips away everything a dog knows: routine, love, safety, and replaces it with fear. Wild animals see them as prey. Parasites infest them. Hunger twists their stomachs into knots. And still, they wait because in their hearts, they believe in us. They believe in love. This is what makes abandonment so cruel. It exploits the one thing dogs give freely: trust. It turns that trust into a weapon. It says, "I know you'll wait for me, and I'm leaving anyway." And even when they are found, even when they are rescued, many abandoned dogs never fully recover. Some flinch at loud sounds forever. Some can't be left alone without shaking. Some won't touch food unless you sit beside them. The scars go beyond the skin. They settle deep into the soul. We have a responsibility, as pet owners, as people, as humans. If we cannot care for an animal, we must find someone who can. There are always options: local rescues, online communities, no-kill shelters, foster programs, a phone call, a knock on a neighbor's door. Anything is better than leaving a loyal heart to die alone. The puppy tied to the tree waited because he didn't know he'd been abandoned. He didn't know how to give up. That's not something we should take advantage of. That's something we should honor with better choices, better laws, and better compassion. Because abandonment should never be an option. Not when they'd never abandon us. And in the end, he was saved. Not by luck, not by magic, but by a human who chose compassion over convenience. A simple act changed everything. One decision to stop. One moment of empathy. That's all it took to rewrite this puppy's story from tragedy to triumph. He could have died there, forgotten, alone. But instead, he healed. He learned to wag his tail again, to trust again, to sleep peacefully knowing no rope would ever steal his freedom again. Today, he's not just alive, he's loved. Truly, deeply, and forever. But for every dog like him who is rescued, there are thousands still waiting, tied to trees, left by roadsides, wandering the streets, hearts full of loyalty, bodies full of pain. This story is more than a rescue tale. It's a call to action, a reminder that we are their only hope, that kindness is a choice, that silence is a decision, and that even the smallest act of compassion can become the turning point in someone else's story. So, if you ever see an animal in need, don't look away. Be the one who notices. Be the one who helps. Be the one who makes them feel that even when the world forgets, someone still cares. Because they would never abandon us. He was just a puppy, tied to a tree like he didn't matter, forgotten like a broken toy. And yet, even as the days passed, even as hunger gnawed at his belly and thirst dried out his tongue, he still waited. Why? Because his heart hadn't given up. Because dogs don't give up on us, even when we give up on them. That's not just loyalty. That's love in its purest form. A love we don't always deserve, but one we desperately need. This story is about one dog, but it speaks for thousands. It reminds us that behind every abandoned animal is a soul that once trusted a human, a heart that still believes someone will come back. And sometimes they wait until they can't wait anymore. But we can change that. Every one of us has the power to turn cruelty into comfort, to turn fear into safety, to turn a forgotten life into a forever home. We can be the difference between a dog dying in silence and a dog finding a second chance. You don't need a cape to be a hero. You don't need to run a rescue. You just need to care enough to act, share their stories, speak out, support shelters, offer food to a stray, report cruelty when you see it. And if you can, open your home. Because when we save them, they end up saving a part of us too. He waited under that tree believing someone would return. Let's make sure no dog ever has to wait again.